Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me once again for Get Your Money Right with Yvonne. I'm Yvonne. How's it going? If you were looking for the spot to talk about saving for retirement, you are indeed in the correct place. And, if you'd like to join this community, we can talk about it later. Don't worry about it now. Let me turn this off. If you'd like to join this community, don't worry about it now. We will talk to you later about it. Just enjoy this segment and see what you think, okay? So we want to start this the way we always do, by me asking you, how are you doing? How is it going? How are you faring? I just always want to do that because, we're all so busy. We forget to just ask one another how you're doing. We're all struggling with something, whatever it happens to be. And it's just so nice to know that there is somebody thinking about you and wishing for your success. So I just always want to do that for you, okay? So, how's it going with me? Pretty well. I have no complaints. Although, no, this isn't a complaint. You remember a few shows ago, we talked about the IRS. Well, for the first time, I think it was in 2018, we had to pay taxes on, income taxes. We owed taxes, in other words. We'd always gotten money back, but with the change in administration, things changed. So I have been saving money. That was not an issue. We did our taxes. I wrote the check and sent it on its way. And then a few days later, I looked at my bank account and I go, what's going on here? It looked off. So then I went through and I balanced it and I'm like, wait, what? $2,036 here twice. Why is that? And I called the bank. They're like, oh, we've seen this before. So what ended up happening was the IRS not only cashed the check that I sent, but then they also debited my bank account. And I didn't give permission for that. The only reason why they had my banking information was because we had been getting refunds. And so it's just easy to get it put back in. So I called them up and I talked to them about it. And they were like, oh, well, we would have found it eventually. I'm sorry, I'm not banking on somebody finding it eventually. And so I put in that request and they said, okay, they checked everything and realized, yeah, I was right. Yeah, I know I was right. So they said it takes 4 to 6 weeks to return that money. And, okay, so I did some finagling because I had my emergency fund and I moved cash over to make sure nothing bounced. But just think about somebody who does not have that kind of money to take care of it, to take care of themselves. They had absolutely no sort of an emergency savings account. That just, it frightened me for other people. I was fortunate that I had it, but not everybody does. And so just to let you know, last week I received a check. And so thank goodness, able to take care of that and put the money back. So all is right with the world. Very, very happy with that. So what else? Well, there's a couple of things. I'm going to start with this one and then we'll go to the Millionaire Next Door, which I'm loving that book. But before we get there, one of the money managers that I've talked about, I'm just going to call them the multi-million-dollar money managers out there who has a column, wrote, there was this big brouhaha when he said this. He said people should be taking 8% of their retirement funds every year. And the reason why there was this, outcry from people is that we can't count on an 8% return every year. So if I can't count on an 8% return on my money, if I'm going to take 8% of that, so now there's a shortfall. Say I'm only getting 5% on my money, yet I'm going to take 8%, that makes the balance go faster to the point where it's not going to last you the 35 years that we talked about, because what we're looking at is whatever your retirement age is, make sure your money lasts until 100. So just for argument's sake, I'm saying at 65, if folks are retiring, they need that money to last for 35 years. And if you're taking more than you're bringing in, problem. And so again, these money managers help people with large portfolios. They're not talking about the us's of the world, and that's great for them. I don't begrudge anybody having their money. That's okay. That's great. We'd all like to be in that position. But I can't listen to advice like that will hurt me, that will hurt people like me. So that's why, careful where you get your information from. It's great that that info's out there for somebody. But if I were to do that, I would run out of money. And I'm guessing since you're here with me, that would be about the same for you. So that whole business of 8%, no. The prevailing wisdom says that once you're ready for retirement, you enter those retirement years, that a conservative amount to take is 4%. Okay, so let's just say for argument's sake, there's $1 million in your retirement account when you are ready to retire. So at 4%, you're taking $40,000 per year. Now, early on in these sessions, I said, just kind of look at what your funds are doing. Mine at one time were doing 9%, but I can count on 5%. So if I'm taking 4% every year, yet my money's making 5%, that's how you keep that balance through all the years in retirement. So just, keep that in mind. That 8%, that's ludicrous. I will stick with the 4% so I can make sure to make it through my retirement years. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to write in. I am so appreciative when you guys send me a note. And some of the things that you guys will say makes me think differently. And that's what this is all about. I don't want to just keep talking to you. I want to hear from you. And you guys have some good ideas, good suggestions, and I appreciate it. Keep them coming, please. One of the things I want to keep talking about, before I do all of these, is just a better way of determining what your net worth, I won't say should be, but what you might want to work toward to determine determine your net worth. And the Millionaire Next Door, we'll talk about it in a minute, but one of the things that they have in here is to do it this way. And it's more individual to do it this way too. Take your age, okay, times your annual salary. What are you making? So I think we did an example of a 40-year-old making $60,000. It came to, what was it, 2,400,000, something like that. I'm doing this off the top of my head. Then you take that amount, that $2,400,000, and divide it by 10. So that 40-year-old wants to look at having a net worth of at least $240,000. Does that make sense? Again, your age times your current salary, figure what that is, divided by 10. Then that comes up with your net worth, what you want to work toward. And remember, this is individual. We're all starting this at a different point in our lives. And so maybe you're a little bit short and maybe you're right there. Great. But just know that's what you want to work toward. Now, when I did mine, I was $50,000 short from what it said my net worth, what I might want to work toward. And so I looked at that and I go, okay, one of two ways to make that work is save more or pay off my student loans. And I'm working on the student loans. I'm being as aggressive as I possibly can. I'm pulling out my pencil. It's real sharp, writing on the piece of paper. Okay, where am I? Where do I need to go? Where will I be in the less than 3 years I expect to have this all paid off? So just, that's what we have to do. And my husband probably gets tired of me bringing up money, saving toward retirement. Sometimes just kind of roll his eyes and I just kind of look at him and go, we got money because this is how I think. He said, yeah, I know. So I don't want to beat a dead horse or anything like that, but just keep all of that in mind, okay? So the Millionaire Next Door. Now, when we last spoke, I said I was on page 60. So I'm reading two books at the same time, which I haven't done since grad school. It's like, oh, it's like going back to the beginning. So I kind of stopped with the Millionaire Next Door because I'm a trainer. I look at step to step to step to get you to the end result. And reading some of these stories, I began to look at my own life and wonder, what's my money story? What were things that I was told growing up and I internalized them? And, where am I now and where do I need to be? And for me, it was like, well, there's a saying, name it so you can claim it. That's how I'm kind of looking at it. All right. So, and I just started, memories starting coming back to me, and I've barely touched on it. I'm on 5 pages. I don't know where it's going to go, what the whole point of it all is. But like I said, step by step by step, I'm looking through my own history just to kind of understand some things. So it's kind of interesting for me. All right. So there was something that came up. It took me a little bit to really understand this term, or these terms, because there are 3 of them actually. Prodigious accumulator of wealth, an under accumulator of wealth, and just an average accumulator of wealth. I list myself in just the average. I started late enough that I can't really be a prodigious accumulator of wealth. I'm doing the best I can, but there's only so much I can do and only so much time. For you folks that are younger, this is something you're going to want to look into. And I was reading the story of Teddy, I think it was on page 49, and I'm like, how can this man be making $221,000 per year and only have saved, I forget what the amount was that they said, but it was super low, okay? So Teddy, who's 48 years old, makes that $221,000 a year. If we go through and figure out what he should be working toward for his net worth, he should, I don't want to use that word should, but wanted to work toward this net worth of $1,060,800. He is nowhere near that. And I'm like, how does that happen? And listening to his story, he spends every dime he's got. There's only 2 drivers in the house. They have multiple cars. He has a big old mortgage and just things, boats, trips. He's just trying to see how fast he can spend that money up. That's why he is referred to as the under accumulator of wealth. And so it was like, and that's what rang alarm bells in my head. Okay, so what stories was I told? Because they told about his parents, who they didn't make much money. They most of the time didn't make it to the end of the month to pay their bills. Sometimes they had to wait. They were late. And when they did get money, they spent it as fast as they could. The way they looked at it was, money is meant to be spent, and the faster the better. So then you kind of figure out how it is people are like they are. And then again, I began to wonder about me and just kind of looking at things that I recall from my history, and things began to make sense. We are products of our environment, whether we know it, want that to be the case or not, we are. So just some things. And, as I said, we're going to go through this book and find some key points. We're going to talk about them. And if you have any questions, if there's anything you are kind of struggling with, please do, because I love hearing from you guys, and I am so appreciative that you take the time to reach out. All right. Now, I try to keep these in the 15-minute range. I know you're busy, and I just want to get some information out there here, from me, from the School of Hard Knocks. I just want to share with people. And at the beginning, I said, if you're not a member of this community and you're thinking you might like to, please, by all means, do it. It is completely free. I will never charge for this content, because I wished that I had something like this available, years and years ago. It would have been so nice and so helpful to, have some help along this journey, not the multi-million dollar money managers, because they're not speaking my language. So where you see subscribe there, click it, follow the link, and when I produce these shows, they will come to your email box so you can listen to them. You can share them. Please be sure to share them with others, because somebody out there who's struggling and isn't sure about the next financial step. So, bring them along. So let's just see what we can do. And then you can save the episodes too. Whatever works for you is great. All right. Now, with that, I thank you guys so much for joining me. Get your money right with Yvonne. I'm Yvonne. And until next time, please be good to yourselves. Be good to each other, because we're all we've got. Just kindness and support goes a long way. So just keep that in mind, okay? Take care. Bye.